You are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And the dog is in the room. Our associate producer has joined us for the evening. Fenrir,
Yes.
why don't you say hello to the lovely people? Hi!
Aw, he went silent. Hi,
Yeah, he
Fenrir.
just looked at me and licked his lips like, what, do you have some food?
Yeah,
He's
or,
Fenrir. I'm
or
Alanna.
I'm Kelsey. Fenrir
Before I
can be
forget.
our chief, or like chief quality control officer.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I stole the producer thing from Drinking the Kool-Aid because
Oh yeah.
Cassidy always calls her dog Sydney the producer. And she's often in the pod closet with them. They like record in this walk-in closet type dealio with a desk in it at her place. I've seen it on the videos. And then, yeah, it's just like, they're like, oh, Sydney's stinking up the place again. We're
It's
click-clacking
cute.
around. Yeah.
I like that.
Well, if you guys have been here before, you know the animals often make their little appearances, whether it's Fenrir or
Gordo.
Gordo.
Trying to be disruptive. I think we're good for Gordo because it's his nap time right now. So he could care less what I'm doing.
We're good to go on Gordo. He has
Yeah.
been tuckered out.
Yeah. By just him being awake. I don't know. I think I've said before from about like 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. he's normally just sleeping. That's all he cares about. So,
Those afternoon lazies.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's my golden
Yeah.
hour of getting stuff done in my house. It'll be like if I need to type up notes or edit, I can always get it done in that time frame with very few having to get up and chase him off of the counter or getting into stuff.
I was going to say, all the moms with toddlers are nodding along, relating. They're like,
Nap time.
yes. Nap time is the only time. Me time. Yeah, I think we're good to go for Fenrir too, because he stopped trying to hide his raw bone that I gave him. to try and I'm trying to wean him off his old ass giant. It was sold at the grocery store as like a dinosaur bone. I think it's like a cow bone or something. It's like a big thick ass leg bone or something. That sounds kind of gross, but yeah. And then yeah, I've mentioned to Kelsey numerous times about how I almost broke my toe on it, and I just want to like get rid of it. It
Yeah.
reminds me of there's this Simpsons episode where Homer has this he buys this like party sub, but then there's nobody there to eat it, and then but he still keeps eating it for like days until he's like getting sick, and then Marge is like, you have to throw that out. He's like shivering. No, it's still good. It's like behind the like radiator. It's disgusting.
Ew. I
I'm
mean,
like, Fenrir.
I single-handedly in a couple days can eat one of the family size big French bread size party subs.
Oh,
But
okay. I
I keep
think
it
I
in the
know.
fridge.
Make the big old hoagies, and then they
Yeah.
have them pre-made at the deli department.
Yeah.
Mmm,
They're like, oh, they're great.
hoagie.
You just cut off, and instead of cutting it with a regular knife, you cut the whole sandwich with a bread knife into slivers, and then I saran wrap them and put them in the fridge.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn. They
Mm-hmm.
make a good one when I was still working at the West office there. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna order sandwiches from the Italian Center. And do you want the spicy one or the not spicy one?" And I was like, I could take a little spicy. And yeah, it's just Italian meats and this big thick bread with like, sorry, I'm salivating. With like these spicy pepper mix on it, and then some like cheese. Oh man.
Yeah. I've got a few sandwiches at the Italian Center. They're really good.
Oh, yes, they have amazing pastries too.
Yeah.
Come to Edmonton, guys.
Yes.
Those of you that aren't here, it's like, damn it.
There's an Italian Center right across the street from West Edmonton Mall. So if you're ever coming to town to hit up West Edmonton Mall, you can visit the Italian Center.
Right?
So, yeah. Got
Damn.
a little cafe, and there's tables inside and outside that you can eat at, which is so cute inside this little tiny like grocery store.
My mom likes to go there when she comes to visit.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like
She's hoping, yeah,
somebody
to come
street
soon.
racing.
Oh, yeah, and they have, yeah, just amazing little meats and cheeses, and I hear they have a really good, what is it, vodka pizza with the vodka sauce or something. I don't know. That I
Ooh,
haven't tried. But they
that
have good
sounds
cannolis.
delicious. Ooh,
Um,
Italian food.
this is what we get for recording before supper.
Yeah. I'm drinking a cappuccino right now because I swear to God I was
Ooh.
falling in. I was like barely keeping my eyes open like 45 minutes ago, so.
Yes. I also had afternoon, like, nap shit going on until I had to run to the Walmart to pick up a few things. And then I woke up again a little. Because I had caffeine this morning. I even had an iced coffee, which I don't usually drink coffee, but
Yeah.
occasionally. It's not as. We went to McDonald's because I wanted more McDonald's breakfast, but then they don't have as good a drinks. So it's really a trade off whether I'm going to
Yeah.
go to McDonald's or Tim Hortons in the morning.
Yeah.
I like the McDonald's breakfast better, which I know isn't your favorite, but I like it. It's greasy, of course,
I just can't
trash.
eat it. I can't eat the
Yeah,
food. Yeah.
I know it's like no, but it's like that whole McDonald's what is it, documentary? Yeah, it's like no one feels good about themselves afterwards. I
Yeah.
just love it. But then yeah, they don't have as good. You can't get an ice cap like when you go to Tim Hortons, and like even though they're trying to do donuts and stuff and be all like whatever, we're cool. It's like, no, you guys will never be Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
And Tim Hortons will never be you, no matter how many crispy chicken things they add to their menu. But
Very true.
they do make a good crispy chicken bacon ranch wrap.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we have to stop.
Uh,
So the topic today is food crimes.
we should okay. We have to do food crimes at some point.
We do, but it's not this one.
Not this week. No. Another day.
I should write that down.
But yeah, absolutely food crimes. After we talked about, was it Florida Man and the Parmesan cheese or whatever, that type of cheese through the window that looked like cocaine.
Always
yeah.
with the people thinking they see cocaine through the window. It's not, even if you do, it's not your Coke.
This is just my coffee table Coke. You know, some people have a nice coffee table book. I have my coffee table Coke.
Yeah, I just leave it out for
Yeah.
parties, like this
Leave
big
my
communal Coke pile. Yeah.
my blinds wide open so that everybody walking down the street can see this.
Oh. So it's actually, oh God, cold case crimes. Now I'm thinking cold cut crimes. I can't stop.
We'll call the food one cold cut crimes because that's my favorite Subway sub. Cold cut combo, foot long, whole wheat. Yes.
Ooh. I like
With the
Subway
works.
melt.
Oh, I don't like the toasted or warm subs. I want a cold sandwich. Cold all the way.
I mean, you don't have to get it toasted, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Food. Can you tell we're hungry?
Yeah, I guess I haven't eaten in a little bit. Sorry guys. Just leaving it all in. We're leaving it all out there.
Yeah.
But no, this is a really good one. This is going to be a really good one. I have a really pretty crazy case. Blah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know you were excited about yours too, or you said you had.
I described it as a pisser, as Crimes and Consequences ladies would say. It's a pisser.
Wait, are they British?
No. But they use
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds like a British word, like a tosser or something.
Oh, I'm sure it is like a slang word there. Yeah, they use it to describe anything that is just gonna piss you off right from the get-go and doesn't stop. So
Okay.
yeah.
great.
Yeah, so maybe I should start, because maybe yours will end on a happier note than mine does, where it's just gonna be angry the entire time.
Wow. Okay, yes, because I also am now confused if it gets solved as to why it's going to make us so angry. I'm guessing there's going to be some incompetence or something along the way.
Not even that. Let's just say they knew very early on who did it, and
Oh
in my
no.
opinion, they kind of chose to let it slide, and then it went unsolved and for decades. And
Okay, and it
then
shouldn't have probably been
absolutely not.
unsolved.
I don't think it ever should have not been solved immediately. It's kind of ridiculous. Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
that's why
No,
it makes
that's
it
gonna
a
be.
pisser.
Well, those cases are always interesting. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why we should, like we were just saying off air that, or I was saying miscarriages of justice could be a good one too. They
Yeah.
piss you off, but they're always interesting, and like I always feel like I almost learned something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some really good wrongly convicted people out there of crimes that they later figured out who the real person was that committed the crime. Those ones are always interesting too.
Yeah, buddy, that was on the Amazing Race that I watched. That now I can't remember if that was the American one or the Canadian one. Now I think it was the American one. He has a podcast all about how it was like being in prison when, especially when you're wrongfully convicted.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That guy's got a good lease on life. I will double check what his name is, so I'm not just talking out of my ass. But he was on The Amazing Race. He's been to jail. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose you could probably find it based on that.
Yeah.
You talk. You talk.
Me talk?
I'm gonna find that show because I feel like an asshole for not knowing the name of the podcast that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
It's on my
So,
yeah.
yeah, we're doing some solved cold case crimes. So the one I chose is a pretty old one that happened, and it was solved and convicted within the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty recently.
Yeah. So it is the murder of Irene Garza. I did put some pictures in the drive because I feel like they go good with this episode. So all the pictures will be up on the website too.
Pictures.
Yes.
I'm very visual. I like pictures.
Yeah, I should let everybody know. I got a lot of my information from, let's see, there was like good CBS News articles and like US Today, National Post, Washington Post. The CBS News had a thing called the evidence photos for the case, and it basically has every picture that will be on the website for my case, and the article was
That's
beautifully laid out. It was great. So they were a huge
that's always
source.
nice.
Yeah.
I found the podcast with the prison talk.
Oh yeah, who is it?
It's called Prison Counts with Ryan Ferguson and Dave Dowling.
Okay. Fascinating.
And the guy was really cute too, so yeah. There's that, ladies.
Woo. Great for when you're listening
most
to a
of our-
podcast.
Yeah. He's cute. Okay. They know what I'm talking about. A lot of our listeners are ladies, not surprisingly, being that we are true crime mostly. Okay, I'm ready. Teach
Yeah.
me.
So the murder of Irene Garza. Irene was a local beauty queen and a beloved second grade teacher.
Irene, the beauty queen.
Oh, she is such like a natural beauty. The first picture I have is her. She's in the middle. She's got beautiful black hair.
I'm gonna look at it.
And yeah. And she's Latina for her last name and everything. And yeah, she's so beautiful.
This is black and white too, and then yeah, they
It's
got
yeah.
one of those kind. I don't know what the hairstyle exactly, but pretty old timey kind of curls and
Yeah. Well, this is an
floofy
old-timey
dresses.
case.
Yeah.
So Irene was born in 1934, and her
Okay.
parents owned a dry cleaning business that got a pretty good business like later on in her life and allowed them to move kind of to a better part of town. By the time she graduated from McAllen High School, where she had become the first Latina to perform as a twirler or head drum majorette.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's your
And,
special skill when you're, or what is it in the beauty pageant?
oh, I'm sure
Your
it
talent.
was. Yeah. Garza was crowned the 1958 Miss All South Texas Sweetheart and was homecoming queen at the Pan American College. So I think
Okay.
that must have been where she took like her post secondary to become the second grade teacher that she was at the time of her death.
Aww, her students.
Yeah.
Poor things. It's all gonna be bad, I know. But
Yeah.
I just feel bad they would like have to tell all those kids and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. It seemed like a lot of people in the community really loved her, and stuff, and she was described as quite shy and really, really nice. Yeah.
Always. Well, not always. Not the only people that get murdered are nice, but it's just especially heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, so at this time she's teaching elementary school or second grade at the south side of McAllen, which I guess was like a poorer neighborhood. And in a
Okay.
letter that she had written to a friend just before her disappearance, Garza had described herself as extremely shy, but that she was feeling a lot of fulfillment through her work at the school. So it sounds like she loved being a teacher.
Aw, that's nice.
She did a lot more in the community. In the letter, it noted that she had recently become secretary of her parent teacher association, and she said that she was starting to begin to feel more confident in herself. She was a member of the Legion of Mary, and Garza took her Catholic faith very seriously. In her letter, she indicated that she was finding comfort in attending daily mass and communion.
Aw, okay. Sorry, I know I just said that like 3 times. I'm like, oh, sweet baby.
Yeah. So the church plays a big part in her life. It's a huge thing for her. So she's attending daily mass. She goes there every single day. And it also plays a huge role in her death, unfortunately, which I really don't like because it seemed like it was such an important thing in her life. It kind of sucks that it was tarnished in that way.
Oh no.
So
That's not good.
no. On Saturday, April 16th, 1960, Garza, who's 25 and who was at this time living with her parents, she told them that she was going to confession at Sacred Heart Church in McAllen, and it was said that she was often conspicuous or noticed in the congregation because of her striking appearance. And because of this, several of the parishioners or churchgoers remembered seeing her at the church that night.
Okay, they were for a nighttime mass.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
believe it's an evening kind of mass, so they do have some evening ones from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that, like 8 p.m., something like
Yeah,
that, maybe.
I think it was one of those. Yeah, so the first few pictures, the first one's her and the two runners up for the Beauty Queen contest that she won. The next one's the Sacred Heart Church. So she goes to the church. People remember seeing her. When Garza's parents didn't hear from her that evening later when she should have come home, they first thought she maybe had stayed at the church for midnight mass. And when she failed to return home by 3 a.m., they went to the McAllen Police Department to report their daughter as missing. So they acted pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
Also, Midnight Mass. I'm scared of that now. Wasn't that the Stephen King miniseries? No.
Yeah, with the vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, the Gordo has awoken. I heard him meow from another room. Oh
no. the dog
dun,
in
dun,
Fenrir is panting and
I
leaving
can't hear
little
him.
drops of drool on the floor on the carpet.
Gordo drools so much. It's
Really?
so gross. I've never had... At the Humane Society, some of the, like, old cats would drool, but, Gordo just drools, like, as much as a dog. It's disgusting.
Some breeds do, yeah. Our friends of ours had these boxers, and they really tend to drool. Yeah, we noticed that for sure. But yeah, Fenrir's he's just panting, and so that it's more like less drool and more just spittle dropping. I don't know. Whatever. I'm really painting a picture here, guys.
So one of the sources I came across said a woman claiming to be Garza called her house and saying that she had been kidnapped and taken to a hotel near Hidalgo, but the call was later found out to have been false. The article...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I only found this in one source, though. The same source said that another person in Edinburgh, told an Edinburgh waitress that he had killed Garza, but that was found to be a joke made after the man had been drinking quite heavily. You know, just joking about murdering people. Like, fuck.
So funny. Yeah.
Ha ha ha, real knee slapper. Like,
oh my god, that's jokes.
yeah.
Have you ever heard that people say, oh, in Canada they say that's jokes? Maybe I've said that on here before.
I think I've heard that before.
I'm like, no.
I've never heard somebody say that. There's a lot of things they say that they say Canadians say that we don't say, as I'm sure there's a lot of things that they say Americans say that they don't say.
That's true. Most of the Americans I've met, oh good lord, have been quite nice.
Yeah.
I think we're mostly, we have more in common than we think. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the first time I went to the States, we drove over the border into Maine, and I was like, this is mostly the same, just a few different stores and, brands or whatever. Yeah.
So a large group of volunteers began searching immediately, and they were able to locate Garza's body 5 days later on April 21st.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
Yeah. Her body was found floating in an irrigation canal, which should be the...
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the third picture there. It shows the canal. Her body was found fully dressed, except for her shoes and underwear. The lavender blouse she had been wearing was unbuttoned, and her patent leather purse, that I guess she had with her all the time, was later located in the middle of a field. And then one of her high-heeled shoes was found a little later as well near an empty road. So that's the next few pictures. It shows her purse. It shows her clothes, her purse. Her shoe is quite cute. I kind of want a pair.
I'm still looking at the canal.
Yeah.
I can see how they're just like sticking one of those big long poking
this
poles
picture's
into it.
This picture's cropped. There's ones you can kind of make out kind of a mass that they're poking at.
Oh, no.
You can't distinguish that it's a body, though.
I just was gonna say it's like I'm kind of glad that isn't in this picture, but it's. Sorry, I think do you want out, buddy?
I thought he sneezed. He needs a tissue.
At the door, and a minute ago he was pulling at the bag on the door because he knows if our door's ajar, and he pulls at the bathrobe hanging on the hook on the back of the door that he can open the door that way.
He's so smart.
He can be. Here you go, buddy. Okay, but you're leaving me in here with your treasure.
Wah, wah.
I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat your bone. Just tease my dog. Yeah, it does seem like, speaking of dogs, that it's one of those, yeah, it's a canal, but there's no railing or anything. It seems like a dog could fall in. I think I've seen videos of dogs falling into canals like this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I don't think it's very deep itself, but it is kind of steep, so you could, like a dog or a kid or something could get trapped in there for sure, because it's just smooth cement on the side, right? Could be hard to get out of.
Could be safer, I think. But I don't know.
It's the 50s, or I guess it's the 60s. Yeah, so...
All right, looking at the handbag and stuff now, it's like, oh, it's all still in pretty good condition, and the shoes are cute.
Yeah, they are.
The little cutouts. Yeah, little cutouts, so and little kitten heel or whatever.
So this was all found. So they did an autopsy, and it revealed that Irene had been beaten with a hard object. They never said what kind. She had also been sexually assaulted. They determined this had happened while she was unconscious.
Oh, okay. I mean, either way, it's not great, but maybe it was a small blessing.
And then at some point, whether it was, she was, I guess, knocked unconscious either from being beaten or from this, but she was also suffocated with a plastic bag. So that could have either been the method of her death, or that could have been what rendered her unconscious before the sexual assault took place. There isn't a whole lot of details around it.
Okay, so we don't know the exact sequence, but she was beaten and there was a bag used.
So there was bruising over her eyes and the right side of her face. So I assume that goes along with the beating they think she took. So that picture that talks about is another cute picture of her in this beautiful, like, blush pink dress.
Yeah, it looks like a ballerina's tutu or something, because it's all this...
Like a lot of
tulle. Tulle or
I think so. Tulle? I don't know.
I am not good with fabrics, guys.
Yeah.
Didn't get that kind of fashion brain. But yeah, it is. And it just juts right out, like... Yeah, like you think, okay, there's got to be a lot of petticoats or something keeping that up, even though she's sitting, maybe.
Yeah. This is, I think, one of the only... I think it's one of maybe only 2 pictures of her that I found at least online that are in color.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it could be my grandmother. Like, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard Gordo. Sorry.
Yeah, he's scratching.
I don't know if it'll show up on the thing, but yeah.
So any physical evidence that might have identified who the attacker was, such as hair, blood, or semen samples, was washed away during the time her body spent in the irrigation canal. And it's still the 60s. I mean, they don't have a lot to go on.
No, not until 30 years or so after. Yeah.
8. So police began trying to get together a list of suspects. They questioned about 500 people and began offering a reward of $2,500 at the time, which was later raised to $10,000 at the time, which would have been about $100,000 today.
Oh, damn, yeah. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. Police ended up later draining the canal shortly after her body was found, and they discovered this green slide projector or slide viewer. I think is it looking for, like, undeveloped photos, I assume, at this time?
Okay, yeah, there was a weird device that I saw a picture of it.
Kind of looks like a tiny retro blow dryer. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's got a weird hole at one end.
Yeah.
You're like, what does that do? Okay.
So this was found in the canal after they drained it, and it was in about the area, like, they drained the whole canal, and this was found in close to the area that they assume her body would have been put into the canal at. It wasn't just randomly found in there. So they believed it was fairly important.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm perplexed by this thing.
Yeah.
Who needs a portable slide viewer? You just get one of those things where you stick all the slides in for the home movies, and they go whirr, and you play it on a
I believe that's what this is. It's a little weird.
It looks so strange shaped to be that. It's like, what? How is this? Anyway.
The only thing I think, like, kind of reading through it now, maybe this was the blunt object that possibly she was hit with, and that's why it was dumped with her.
Does look pretty heavy.
Yeah. So police ended up appealing to the public. They released a picture of the slide viewer and wrote up an article about finding the slide viewer's owner. So they're asking people. And one man came forward to police and wrote them a note stating that it belonged to him. So the next picture is the news article that they wrote. It just kind of shows a really terrible picture of the slide viewer. It's hard to even see.
A man came forward? Okay.
Yeah, because he a dumbass.
I guess, unless you just want to get yourself cleared off the suspect list.
I don't really know what his goal was. I hate him. He's a piece of shit.
Okay.
If you can't guess, he's the one that did it. So in my opinion, this never should have been a cold case, because he came forward like a few days after they found her, and then it was a cold case for like 50 years. So stupid. So stupid. God. Yeah.
What had happened?
We'll get into it. I skipped a bunch of stuff about his trial because it was boring. Basically like 57 appeals.
Okay, yeah, that would be boring.
So
this is not law and crime sidebar podcast.
Yeah. So this brings in Father John Bernard Fate, or Feet. I'm gonna say Fate. He is 27 at the time, and he was a priest who had been working was a priest at the church where Irene Garza went, and he was the one that had actually heard her confession the night she disappeared. So he told police this after he told them the slide viewer was his.
He confessed?
He's the one that heard her confession when she went to the church, because he's a priest.
Oh, heard her. I was like,
yeah.
I thought she said her confession, and then I was confused. But then again, Catholics do that confession thing. Okay, yeah. I'm with you. Wait, so gross. No. Yeah.
That's why I said this one stuck out to me immediately, because I'm like, beauty queen murdered by priest? What the fuck? Like,
as they would say, and That's Why We Drink. What did they say? Thanks, priest. Very sarcastically.
Yeah.
Oh, something like that, yeah.
So they said at the time, and we'll kind of get to it because it gets mentioned quite a few times, John Feet kind of had a weird way of doing confessions. So basically, if he thought you were pretty, instead of doing it in the confession booth, he would normally haul women out, and they would go to like the top area to get some privacy, and he would take confession there. So they could be face to face, and he could be creepy with them. Yeah.
I think he wanted to be a Scientologist, and they wouldn't have him, so then he went here.
Maybe.
Gross.
So it said at the time that giving this face-to-face confession was considered highly unusual, but it did happen to quite a few women, which we'll get into. The case grew even more interesting to the investigative team that learned after he came on their radar that just 3 weeks before the murder of Irene Garza, another woman had been attacked. And her name was Maria America Guerrera. Guerra. America Guerra. Sorry. And she had fought.
We're white, it's hard.
I just added too many R's. My apologies. So she had fought off an attack from a man who she thought looked just like this priest that was inside of the church in Edinburgh, Texas. And Guerra...
Oh my god, okay. So they're outside of the church at the time then.
No.
Oh.
He's in a different church visiting.
Okay.
Kahi gross.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. God was not there that day.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Guerra had been sexually assaulted while she was kneeling at the communion rail, and this was at a different Catholic church in the McAllen area than the
Oh
one
my
that
God.
Garza disappeared from. And rumors was kind of going around that Fate was responsible, but local church leaders discouraged people from considering the possibility that a priest could have been involved in a violent crime. So they started covering up his shit that he was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
They're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Except they're supposed to believe that only Jesus is perfect, so
Right.
it's disgusting. While she
So
was kneeling at the, like,
yeah,
the people are the most vulnerable when they're practicing their faith.
yeah.
And you're gonna
One
do
thing
that?
I read said he came up behind her and basically started choking her until she went
Ah!
unconscious. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Feet did admit to visiting a priest at that church on the day of Guerra's attack, but he denied being the one that had assaulted her. And police ended up bringing her in, and she was able to identify Father John Fate out from a police lineup as the man who had attacked her.
God, it's
So,
just so ballsy too.
right? So
And
armed
I
with
don't mean,
this,
yeah, I'm not trying to make a pun. I mean, like,
yeah.
literally. You're so arrogant to be like, I'll just do this
Oh yeah, you can
in
click through the next
an
few
open
pictures.
church.
Um,
No.
it's nothing bad. There's nothing like nothing really gory with this one or anything. We already got past that.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's definitely infuriating.
Yeah. So armed with this information, they arrested Fate, and he stood trial in Austin, Texas in 1961 for the assault and intent to rape Maria America Guerra. But the jury ended up becoming deadlocked. And rather than face another trial, Fate pleaded no contest to the lesser charge of aggravated assault and was fined only $500 or $5,000 today. And he walked off scot-free.
Gross.
Yep. So the church members ended up. So this is going back to kind of what was going on at the Sacred Heart Church with the Garza case. So church members reported that Fate's confession line typically moved slowly on the night of Garza's disappearance, and that he had left the sanctuary several times that night, kind of going back and forth to different areas, and even leaving the church at times and coming back.
So he's supposed to be on the job.
Yeah, and he's just disappearing a bunch of times. Then police took notice that Fate had visible scratches on the back of his hands and wrists when he was photographed by police. And another clergyman, Father O'Brien, had noticed the scratches as well. Fate initially denied hearing Garza's confession in the rectory. This is where he's telling police that he wasn't the one that received her confession, but he later admitted that he had.
Okay.
He tried to account for his absence from the church or sanctuary by claiming that he had broken his glasses that night, because he does wear glasses. And he said that he often played with them nervously as he listened to confession. He stated that he had driven back to his church's pastoral home that was only a short drive away, so this is where he was living, to get another pair of glasses. And then when he arrived to that house, he didn't have a key, so he had to climb into the house from the second floor window, and that he had sustained these scratches on his hands from climbing the outside of the brick structure.
Oh my God.
So when he's being photographed by police for the rape of where they're like, oh, what are these scratches from, Fate? And he's like, oh, nothing, just climbing through windows, totally not murdering Irene Garza. Like, just a few days ago.
He's not a good liar.
So I did manage to find pictures of the scratches. They're kind of faint because he got some pretty hairy arms and it's in black and white. But you can see some marks and like bruising and shadowing on his wrists and the backs of his hands.
Oh, yeah. I see that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then there's a picture of him at trial. We already talked about that. He just had to pay that stupid fine.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah. So, we do talk a little bit about Milo Ponce, who is one of the original investigators in the Garza case, and he was actually asked to step away from the case and told that his superiors would take over.
What? That's weird.
Yeah, he thought it was strange. And there was never enough evidence to convict Fate of Irene Garza's murder, and the case went cold. Naomi Ponce Singler, who's the daughter of Milo Ponce, says that her father never got over the Garza case, and as a result, Naomi fought for more than 30 years for justice for Irene in honor of her father. So I do have a picture of Mike Ponce, one of the original investigators.
Yeah. Okay. Cowboy?
Yeah. He got a cowboy hat. Yeah.
Aww.
Mm-hmm.
That's so nice. Some cops are dedicated, and a lot of them have that case that just they really, really feel it, and they want to solve it, and they feel so close to it.
Mm-hmm. And this was definitely his. He said, his daughter is later, she's interviewed and stuff when the case was finally brought to trial and everything in the last 10 years, and she was interviewed and was like, I'm just happy kind of the family has closure and stuff, and that she was able to help in a small way.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. I don't get into a lot because there's a whole bunch of shit involving Fate as well, what he does for the next 10 years, basically, or the first 10 years. But over the next many years, Fate spent time in a treatment center in New Mexico for troubled priests, because obviously the church knew what he had done. And then
I didn't even think they had centers like that. I thought they just moved them to a new parish and said they were
basically do that, but
sick or something.
Yeah. So at this place where he's supposed to be receiving treatment, he then becomes a supervisor who cleared other priests who were troubled for assignments. So basically to go to different priests. Like,
you don't go
parishes.
to therapy and then be the therapist.
Right? You would
That's
think
not how it works.
So one of the priests that Fate ended up helping keep in the ministry was this sick dude named James Porter, who I'm not going to get into. There's a lot about him. Other than the fact that he was a child molester who abused more than 100 children before he was finally sent to prison, and Fate left. Yeah. So he helped get him new postings. And stay within the church. Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm. Fate finally left the priesthood in 1972, when about this time he got married and kind of had a family, couple kids, and went on to work at the Catholic charity St. Vincent de Paul in Phoenix for a number of years, where he was training and recruiting volunteers and helping to oversee the charity's network of food pantries.
I can't believe he just left.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
So we jump ahead a really long time to 2002 when...
Oh my god.
Yeah. Two clergymen, Dale Tacheni and Joseph O'Brien, come forward and say that Fate had confessed separately to each of them to murdering a woman back in the 1960s. And
wow. Had to get it off. He had to confess himself.
Yeah. So with this new information, McAllen Police Chief Victor Rodriguez reopened the investigation and brought in the newly formed cold case unit of the Texas Rangers that were led with the leading investigator Ranger Rudy Jaramillo.
Oh, where was Walker? Jared Padalecki strolls in. Or who was the original? Chuck Norris, probably?
I have no idea. Yeah.
I'll confirm. I think it's Chucky Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, so they reopen this investigation, and then they do fuck all. So despite the two witnesses, the county district attorney at the time did not think that they were credible as witnesses, even though they're different clergymen. And Irene's cousin, Linda Delavina, recalls that district attorney confronting her in the courthouse and telling her that she would never, ever get an indictment on the case. There was also a quote about something about, like, you'll get an indictment when pigs fly, and telling her that. Yeah.
Screw you, I could just throw my bacon.
So they did end up bringing the case before a grand jury in 2004, but they were really stupid about it. So Fate and the two other priests, Tachini and O'Brien, were never subpoenaed, and the jury didn't even indict Fate to appear. So, like, they were basically doing it without the three most important people being in the courtroom.
Question mark?
Yeah. About this time, it was also revealed that O'Brien, who is one of the witnesses, was suffering from dementia. At the time, he was even just being questioned by the police and giving his original statements. So that also led challenges to his credibility.
Oh, good Lord. What is going on here?
Yeah. So we jump ahead another 12 years, or another 10 years, when in early 2014, the TV show 48 Hours, the correspondent Richard Scherzinger confronted John Fate, who is now in his 80s, outside his home about the allegations that surrounded him, where obviously he denied killing Irene Garza. By this time, Fate had left the priesthood.
Still, though.
Yeah.
Give it up, buddy.
Yeah, so he's 80.
They're always so old.
So, yeah, he had left the priesthood, he had gotten married, and by this time he had raised 3 kids.
I feel bad for his kids.
Yeah. The other priest, Tachini, says that over the course of many months, Fate had told him about the attack. So this is from the interview from the 48 Hours website. I think it's just a transcription of the episode that they did. I think it was like 25 pages long, and I basically just took this chunk out of it.
Oh boy.
So this is him talking about what Fate supposedly said during these quote-unquote confessions with him. So he said that after Irene Garza's confession, he had taken her blouse off. He said that he had fondled her breasts, and then after that he had taken her down to the basement, and somehow she remained in the basement. I assume that he had tied her up down there. Tacheni says that Fate told him that he later moved her from the rectory to another location, where he said,
God.
Yeah.
What is he, like, threatening her with, I wonder?
I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, obviously she's going to be at some sort of a disadvantage because you're already there, like, vulnerable in a position where they're, have almost more powerful, right? There's already a power dynamic thing going on, but geez, that's so shitty.
Yeah. So Tacheni says the next day, Easter Sunday, I believe it was, he put her in the bathroom. So this assume he, like, meant that he had taken her back to the house that he was staying at or something.
Really?
Or some other location that had a bathroom. So he's saying that he put her in the bathroom, put her in the tub, and that he had her in a bag or something over her head. So they asked him, is it some sort of plastic bag? He responded, I don't fully remember, but when he was leaving, he heard her say, quote, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And with that, he shut the door and left. He told me when he came back, he opened the bathroom door and she was dead. And then with the body, he dumped the body along the road by a canal.
What a fucking coward.
Yeah. So in 2014, after this 48 hours thing kind of blows up, there's a new district attorney, how the other one was kind of a piece of shit, saying, like, when pigs fly, you'll get your day in court, basically. There was a new district attorney who was running, and one of his campaign promises was to review the Irene Garza case, not to get a conviction, but he wanted to reopen it and wanted to review it. So,
okay.
In February of 2016, John Fate so this person won, so they reopened the case, and Fate was arrested for the murder of Irene Garza in February of 2016. And at this time, in his 80s, he was suffering from stage 3 kidney and bladder cancer.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
During this trial, the friends and family of Irene took to the stands and spoke about Irene's life that was cut way too short. Again, she died at age 25.
Ouch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a woman named Beatrice Garcia testified that in 1960, Fate approached her as she was walking and asked if he could take pictures of her dressed in all black by the cemetery. As one does.
Right, that's the totally normal pickup line.
Yeah. So she talked about this during the trial, and this bizarre encounter was just a few weeks before Irene's murder as well. So they have the one rape, and then Irene's murder, and then this weird encounter against him. There was in Anna Maria Hollinsworth, and she testified that Irene Garza had told her that Father Fate had previously pulled her out of the church confessional, and had insisted she give her confessions in the rectory, which I assume is the, like, kind of attic-y part, or the overlooking part.
I feel like I should know, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I forgot to look it up, so sorry.
It's that part of the church that kind of sounds like rectum.
If it's not the pew pew pews, then I don't know.
Or the pulpit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And my mom used to, like, clean her church that she went to, so I've seen parts of the church.
Yeah.
That other people might not have. I don't know.
So reporters ended up testifying during this trial about kind of off-the-record meetings that they had with the previous district attorney that revealed that the district attorney knew that Fate had murdered Irene and that he would end up being sent to the monastery or that kind of rehabilitation, whatever bullshit they had going on in the 60s. And the new defense attorney, Renee O. Flores, said that John Fate defense attorney, so this is John Fate's defense attorney, said that Fate's innocent and that there wasn't any, quote, forensic evidence whatsoever collected then and now that affirmatively relate John Fate to this crime in any way. Because, I mean, technically there wasn't any, other than that slide projector thing.
Right, but how many times does he have to confess or whatever before people are like, well, you know what? That's beyond a reasonable doubt. Why does he keep saying it and all this circumstantial stuff?
So there was an assistant DA, so assistant to the new district attorney, who's named Mike Garza, no relation to Irene Garza. It said in one article, because I got confused, because then it just kept saying Garza, 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 and I was like, who are they talking about?
Oh, no.
So it said he held up a photo Irene as he urged the jury to consider sentencing John Fate to 57 years in prison, and that this was due because it would match the number of years that he had been free since Irene's death. 57 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
They made his sentence match how long it had been cold.
Yeah. Basically how long he had
cool.
been free, because he shouldn't have been free.
Yeah.
So the following day, the jury came back and kind of one-upped that and just sentenced him to life.
I mean, and at this point, he's 80, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool, though.
Yeah. The former Father John Bernard Fate, 85, now 85, was convicted on December 8th, 2017, making it one of the oldest cold cases ever solved. And...
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost 60 years.
Yeah. Investigators and Irene's family believe that Irene Garza is finally resting in peace. And Irene Garza's horrible murder and rape was solved after 57 years, 7 months, and 22 days. That was courtesy of that oldest.org cold cases ever solved that had a ranking of how many days it had been. Yeah, I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to include that. I just have a tiny bit more. Fate died of natural causes on February 12th, 2020, while incarcerated. One thing said it was heart attack, something to do with his heart. I don't know. Fuck him. Who cares?
Right. It's, yeah. Nobody killed him.
Yeah, so. Too bad.
Yeah.
The Naomi Sigler, who's the daughter of that original investigator I said.
Okay.
She shed tears as she spoke to reporters after the verdict, saying, quote, "I just feel like justice has been served. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. It's been such a long, long, long journey."
Aww.
Yeah. And my last...
You don't have to be sorry, girl.
Yeah. This... I guess if you go based on the pictures, there's a couple that are the 48 hours. But if you look at picture 21, which I wanted to talk about, and if you go to the website, it's kind of crazy. These are the pictures of the 3 women he attacked. So the first one is Maria America Guerra, and then Irene Garza's in the middle, and then Beatrice Garcia's on the right. These women, their hair is all black, and their faces are so similar. It's creepy.
They're 3 very beautiful, very similar looking Hispanic women or Latina women or... Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And some of the articles talked about, like, he definitely had a type that he was kind of gunning for, it seemed. Yeah, because they look so strikingly similar. Like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like similar face shape and eyebrows and stuff, and they're like the 2 on the right, their mouths especially and stuff. Yeah, like people women he could never get on his own merit.
Right.
He had to fucking take what wasn't his.
Well, because they said with him being a priest and everything, he had taken a vow of celibacy.
Well, there's that too, but like...
It's like...
Someone said the other day, or I was listening to a podcast, and I think that had to do with they didn't want the priests having families and kids, because then they would have to leave their wealth when they died to the children. So the churches would rather have them have no family.
And then would it just revert back to the church?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's a kind of shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
But... yeah, that's the end of the case. I told you it was a pisser. Basically, like, day 5 of the investigation, he comes forward and is like, "It's my slide projector." And then for 57 years, they did nothing. Like... yeah,
why would he even? Did he, like,
I don't know.
Zodiac or someone that taunts them. And it's like, why would you want...
It's so weird, yeah. He writes them a note saying it's mine, and then they question him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's mine. I was the one that took your last confession," or he finally admits that and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah. Like, they're so stupid sometimes. And then, yeah, but it's stupid. And then it didn't even come to... What's the one? Oh, there's one I've been watching on the Netflix. That's like, it's about it's interviews with the investigators that brought down a bunch of really famous, killers and serial killers, like the guys that took down BTK and like a bunch of people. I feel like that's
I watched
the one.
that.
Was it him where he's like 25 years pass and then he like writes back into them and he's like, if I send you a floppy disk, you can't get DNA off that, right? Yeah, because he just can't leave well enough alone.
Yeah, he sent them in a thing asking if they could trace the origins of a floppy disk. Like, if he put data or information on a floppy disk, could they trace it to a single source, kind of like an IP address? And they're like, no, we can't do that. And he's like, cool. So he mails them a floppy disk and they catch him like the next day. And it's like, oh shit. Because it said it was...
He's like, I'll just ask. They'll be truthful.
Because it said it was from a specific church, because he worked in the church too.
That's right.
Yeah,
Dennis
it was
Rader. Yeah.
From a church computer. That's how they figured it out. They did that, and then they looked online.
Church dude.
Yeah. Got some connivers. Yeah, BTK. Oh, so creepy.
Fuck.
And he was always the side character in all those scenes of Mindhunter. He was like in the shadows, all those little snippets of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think I said that before, but it's just the vulnerability of, you're using your position to strike people when they're vulnerable. And you shouldn't be in that position. It's just like any bad teacher or anyone else of authority. It's just like you are taking advantage and you're a piece of shit. Yeah. Just gross.
But
well, now I need a piece of chocolate or something.
Yeah.
Before we do our next one.
That's why I'm like, maybe I should go first, because mine, I'm just going to be angry the whole time when I know what's coming, and I'm just like,
It's like on And That's Why We Drink, they have done it from the beginning where M goes first with their paranormal, and then Christine goes with the true crime. And then they're like, why do we do it this way?
Right?
We can't stop now.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. All right, we'll be back.
Yes. After these short messages, fill in the blank. No.
Well, are we back? We're back.
Yeah.
We may or may not have just gone on a tangent about traffic. Depending if I guess we decide to cut it or not.
Yeah. The woes of traffic.
Traffic sucks. People make mistakes in cars, sometimes us included, and other things.
Yeah.
We all are alive and well, though. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't plan on driving anywhere else this weekend if I can help it. With the price of gas.
Right.
Oh.
I have work tomorrow, and then our staff Christmas or our staff like summer party. We're going bowling, which I will not be bowling because my legs hurt for like a week and a half after I went bowling with you guys. Apparently, I need to do more squats and lunges because that bowling was just too much, man.
There were some muscles that were like, I didn't remember they existed.
What are you doing to me? But they said we don't have to bowl. We can just hang out. So I'm like, that'd be easier to just hang out and talk to people. So
okay.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find some 10-pin bowling. I swear I'm better at that. I started out pretty good when we were bowling, and then I started to suck, and then Pat just started to kill it.
Yeah. They do 10-pin at Ed's, where we're going for the work one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. You probably had to tell me that twice, because I forget things. I'll write it down.
I'm sure that one's 10-pin.
I love me some 10-pin. That's what we have on the East Coast.
I am not very good Well, I'm not good with either, so my hands are a little too small for 5-pin. Like, it's not comfortable.
Right.
I kept almost throwing the ball back.
I feel like that too, yeah.
And then with 10-pin, because my thumbs, I have, like, the toe thumbs, as people kind of call them.
Oh my god! No! I don't like that.
I know, but it's like a common thing people call them. I don't know what they're medically called or whatever, but so my thumbs...
I have never thought that your thumbs looked like toes.
Well, it's more like my thumbs are a little bit, like, wider than normal, but my thumbnail's a lot shorter. And then,
like a
it's
blunt
wider.
end.
Yeah.
That stuff, yeah, I feel like they look at that stuff even in the palmistry. In the palm reading, yeah, it all means something.
Yeah, so for me to put, like, my thumb in bowling balls, I almost always either cut my thumb open or I've almost broken at bowling, like doing 10-pin before, because my thumb's, like, too wide or I don't have a good enough grip, and stuff like that. Even the really low weight balls that I normally use like the least weighted ball that I can. And
give me those tiny balls. Yes. They are heavy, though.
But, yeah, I think last time I went, I broke my fingernail first, and then I kept bowling, and then I almost broke my thumb, like, the same day. And it was like, okay, yeah. So, I think I'm gonna skip bowling at our work thing. So, I was like, I don't want to go to the OR or the ER.
Oh, I wonder if they have different lanes there, and you can pick and choose. All right. Well, I hope you have a good time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I have lots of finger food, and we're doing pizza and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna hang out and eat food.
Oh.
Yeah.
Food. We're back to food. All right.
Let's start a food podcast. I want to talk about pizza.
I know. There's the podcast called "Is a hot dog is a sandwich?" or whatever.
Yes.
That one's popular.
That a hot dog is a sandwich is part of the Good Mythical Morning. The guys that do that, they're on-site chef guy, him and Nicole. They do a hot dog is a sandwich.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that statement, but that's one of those debates for the ages. It's cool. We can do that we can make that our spin-off when we get enough Patreon subscribers.
Yeah. No, we'll have a movie review podcast, I think, before food.
Those are fun. I listened to some of those too.
We could do it.
All right. Well, now that we're all caught up on that, you ready to hear about the murder of Lee Rotatori? I think it's
Rotatori. Not Ratatouille, but Rotatori.
No. It's like rotator with an I at the end.
Okay.
Rotatori?
I don't think it doesn't sound even remotely familiar. I don't think I've ever heard of this.
Rotatori.
Rotatori.
That episode of The Office where Karen's recording her thing and he's like, that doesn't sound Italian. And she's like, hey, it's Karen Filippelli. Leave me the message. I won't answer.
Love it.
Oh. Okay, I'll stop. Oh my god, I got the giggles. Surprised I can laugh after that case you told me.
I know.
My lord.
It jumped out of that list I was reading, so man.
There was quite a listicle, I love that word,
yeah,
of little ones that I looked through. I think we said that off air, but yeah, I looked up unsolved cases solved in 2022, and it had like 6 to 8, and I probably jotted down like 5 of them because I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Oh, that's a little, cool. That's different, with each one of them until I kind of picked one, and I was like, I bet you this, it'll be enough, because sometimes you don't know how long it's going to be until you get into it, and yeah, I was surprised.
I'm excited.
All right. So buckle up. So, oh,
Yeah,
is
Gordo's
that
beside
Gordo
me.
buckling up?
Yeah. He's sitting right beside my mic. But it looks like he's gonna go to sleep, so I think we're in the clear again.
Okay. I was gonna say I could go off on Fenrir's been kind of a douche lately, but that might be some small animal he's smelling, and then he goes after it and he keeps knocking over the lawn ornaments.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. So he knocked over the Easter Island egg. The Easter Island head, the moa, the
Oh
guy.
wow, that thing's big.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah. It's
Because you
like
smell something behind it that, like, obviously there's a mouse living under the deck or something. But it's mostly like, kind of, it's got sort of a fencing, a bar, like a wire
lattice.
fencing, and then there's stone in front of it, so you usually can't see under most of the deck. But then in that part, some of the stone fell away, and then he could, like, smell something. Anyway, it's fine. It's a whole thing. All right. So Lee Rotatori was a 32-year-old married woman who was described by her siblings as, quote, mostly happy and outgoing, an artistic woman with lots of friends.
that's nice.
So, yeah, she does sound pretty cool. She was the oldest of 4 kids, and they grew up in upstate New York. Is there any other kind of New York state than up? And then moved to the outskirts of Rochester, Minnesota.
Oh wow.
Which,
Big change.
well, and then the first article I was reading, it just said Rochester. And I was like, I assume New York, but no. Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so she loved horses. She loved drawing horses. She dreamed of owning one someday. Big horse girl.
They're expensive. Whew.
Mm-hmm. So pretty and so smart, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pig girl and a seal girl, so.
my manager Tara has 2 pigs. And one of them recently
Pig pets?
Yes, one of them recently had like a long kind of illness, so it was basically put down recently. She like couldn't move anymore, so she only has the one.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
She's like, I wouldn't recommend it for anybody really, like it's a lot. But she's like, I like them, they're cute.
I've
They're-
heard that, yeah.
They're big, and she lives in a house with a roommate, so I assume they're just kind of in the yard or backyard when you need to let them out, but they're in the house all the time. Because she showed me pictures of her
yeah.
cuddled in the bed with them. I was like, oh.
And then they gotta go root around.
Yep.
The co-host of Sinisterhood, Christy, she has a pig named Petal.
Oh.
They live in Texas, and so I expect you could definitely have a pig in that kind of climate. I never thought I could have one, so I never really wanted one. But I did want weird pets like ferrets, so.
I went through a ferret phase, yes.
I guess I like stinky animals.
Right? Ferrets, rabbits, guinea
Dogs.
pigs. Also
Yeah.
stinky.
Anyway. Okay. All right, what did I say? Okay, yeah, horses. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's gonna say horse girl.
Derailed. Then Lee and her brother Greg joined the Junior Rifle Club in her teens, and she did quite well, he said, after she participated in some matches.
Okay.
She graduated from Mayo High School in 1967. Heyo, Mayo.
Mayo's the best.
I love Mayo.
I love it on a sandwich.
I know, but for a hot dog, you're a mustard girl.
Yeah, mustard and sometimes either raw or fried onions. That's my jam.
Ooh. I like a sauerkraut, but I'm definitely more ketchup. But the rest of my, like Pat
Sauerkraut's
and
good.
Rain, they are mustard eaters.
Yeah, I like really tart, strong flavored things. So,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it tends to be my common thing. I like really strong cheeses. I like really strong
Right.
flavored things. Yeah, I want the like oldest age cheddar you can sell. Don't give me no mild cheddar or marble.
No.
Don't give me marble. Don't cut my cheddar cheese with mozzarella.
I don't want it to be soft. I want to be punched in the mouth with flavor.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so speaking of food and Mayo High School, she went to the University of Wisconsin and earned a bachelor's degree in dietary sciences and a master's in food nutrition.
Okay. So she wants to be a nutritionist kind of thing going on. Nice.
I think so, if that was like even quite a thing at the time.
Yeah. Maybe like a, I don't know, like maybe in hospitals? I don't know.
Yes, she does. Yes, ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
She worked at a firm that provided help establishing food programs for hospitals. So, yeah, you're
Okay.
right. And Lee got married while she was still an undergraduate, so still in college, I guess. No sources seem to have this guy's name, but I'm just guessing that, well, other than like, that's where she got the last name, Rotatori. That was her married
Okay.
name from this guy. But they did have a son together, and at the time of the case, he was 11 years old and living in Chicago with his father. So maybe that's why his name's not really out there, like for
Probably,
privacy.
yeah, probably not divorced, but maybe separated.
Well, no, because she does get remarried.
Okay.
Um, Wait. Yeah, because did I even say? I said she got married. No, when they're 11 years. Okay. Sorry, yeah, I guess maybe I was getting ahead of myself. Yes, they get married. They divorced at some point. I'm not sure when. And then she remarried a man named Gerald Stanley Nemke, who went by Jerry. So that's what we're
Okay.
going to call him.
Jerry.
Jerry. Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry, Larry, Gary, Terry, whatever his name is from Parks and Rec. Damn it, Jerry!
I have an uncle named Gerald, and he just goes by Gerald.
Nah, Gerald's a good name. I like Gerald.
Yeah. They married the first time on August 15th, 1979 in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay.
They divorced in 1979 without any children, and then they got back together sometime the next year or so and remarried by the 30th of December, 1981.
That always
But boom,
confused
bam.
me.
Sorry,
When-
what?
You go through the effort of getting divorced and then get remarried.
Yes. Especially in such a short time span, too,
Yeah.
hey? It does remind me of a character on Oz, Chris Keller, played by the very tasty Christopher Maloney. You know, he's also on SBU and Stabler or whatever. He married this woman Bonnie like 2 or 3 times. He just couldn't help himself. I think he was a sex addict.
I think they talk about that in some book I read. It was like, I love you so much we could get divorced and I'd marry you again tomorrow. Or
Oh my
something.
god. So healthy.
And it was meant to be like romantic. I don't know.
No. So silly.
Yeah, so strange.
So that happened in 1981. And then 6 months later, she would be dead.
Ah.
Yeah. She was so young.
How old is
let's
she
back-
at the time?
Was she 32?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, yours was 20s, and mine's in her early 30s.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
So we'll back up a bit to where Lee had just accepted a new job in June of 1982. She had received a job offer for a position at Jenny Edmondson Hospital in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So this is generally the same area. You're going to hear some of the same names as where the squirrel cage jail was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Council Bluffs and the I think it's the smaller part, which is the Potawatomi area.
Okay.
Oh, it's kind of cool. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I recognize some of this. And it's also the home state of the one of the YouTuber that we're friends with, pod friends on Instagram. She's called Mysteries of the Past and Present on YouTube and Instagram and everything. She's from not Iowa, but I want to say Illinois. So this is all in her neck of the woods too. So can't wait till she listens to this one. Yeah. Our American friends.
Yeah.
This is all over the Midwest.
Yeah, because I was in Texas too. That's the,
Oh, in your case?
Midwest. Yeah.
Right. South. You going south.
Yeah.
All right. So Lee went to check out the place and her possible place of employment, because she would have to move for this job if she takes it in Iowa.
Okay.
They had been living in Michigan, so she's going up there on June 3rd. She meets some people at the hospital and kind of checks things out, and she likes what she sees, so decides to take the offer, and she goes back home to Jerry to let him know. And they make the plans to let her get settled and start things up in Iowa with her job and everything. And he will wrap up their affairs in Michigan and then move their mobile home up to their new home in Illinois.
Okay.
Hang on. No, I'm confused. Illinois? I think I just said Iowa a minute ago when I look at my notes.
Oh, it's Illinois.
Wait, Council Bluffs. Iowa. I mean, I know they're like adjacent states, but yeah, I think it's Council Bluffs, Iowa, they're going to be moving to.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm sorry if I get it mixed up when I'm talking here, because Illinois gets mentioned too. There's a lot, like I said, it's all over the Midwest.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, they had a nice life where they were living in Michigan too, so it couldn't have been an easy decision for her. She even finally had a horse that she kept stabled at this nice couple's house. They were Bob and Clark Fisher. Yeah. Just like she wanted.
Yeah.
The couple was close with Lee, and they said, I think she was just a farm girl at heart. She had a dog here and a couple of pigs, some turkeys, and some of the chicks, and part of the garden.
Aww,
Jerry used to say that her folks would never believe it if they could see her.
Yeah, because she grew up in New York, right? You said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Upstate.
Goes from upstate New York to turkeys and pigs and horses.
It's so cute. I love it. I even I like this kind of farmy stuff. I follow this subreddit now that's called Homestead, because people will be like, I'm gonna buy this patch of land, and then they post a picture of it, or where they're gonna have, if they're gonna have sheep or chickens or whatever.
Yeah.
Even Gordon Ramsay tried to do it. I watched The F Word show, and yeah, he was like living in London, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna raise some animals here. We're gonna have some like chickens, and gonna show the kids how we raise up these lambs and then eat them. But anyway, I took that a dark place. I'm sorry. We're going back to true crime.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to look after animals and farm and everything like that.
That's true. If I did have the space, like maybe we can do it. No, we'd probably get in trouble. Because aren't we back onto a park there? Have some beehives. There used to be some just down the road
Yeah.
from where I grew up, where there was the public trail, like the bike trail and whatever, and then there was, it kind of meandered off into this field where there wasn't like a house right in the field, but there was a bunch of beehives there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like bees.
Excuse me. I like their honey.
Yeah.
All right. So she gave away her dog.
Oh.
Aw. And then Lee headed back to Council Bluffs on June 21st, and she checks into the Best Western Motor Lodge. So old-fashioned sounding
Yeah.
now. But that's where she's staying during her orientation at the hospital. And on June 24th, she goes out with her new friends from work, including the departing food manager. So the person she's replacing.
Okay.
Yeah, they went boating on this place called Lake Manawa, and they leave around dusk. And Lee apparently stopped at a McDonald's for a fast food supper and presumably headed straight home back to the motel after that. But no one saw her enter, but it's a motel, so you can enter from your exterior door.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And then the next morning was when she was discovered by the hotel housekeeping staff lying in a pool of her own blood on her bed.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, just so from out of nowhere.
Yeah. And she's like fairly new in town. Like, what kind of enemies does she have? Oh my
None.
goodness.
She has no
So
enemies.
weird.
It was bizarre. They found that just a few things were missing, like her purse and some jewelry, but it didn't appear to be a classic robbery to the police. Yeah, and I mean, they've seen that kind of thing, so they would probably know. They said that the place wasn't torn apart and it just didn't, appear to be the motivation. Also, like, yeah, exactly like you said, who knew she was there to come
Yeah.
knock on her door or however they got in? So, Potawatomi medical examiner Samuel Rosa said Lee Rotatori died from a knife wound straight to the heart.
Wow.
Yeah, she was stabbed right from the front and just extremely brutally. He, meaning the medical examiner, also said that it could have been sexually motivated, he thought, but police captain, not ship captain, police captain, if that wasn't clear, Eldon Jones disagreed. There was no apparent evidence to support this, so I'm not sure why the medical examiner would have said that if there wasn't.
I mean, they say most, like, serial killers and stuff like that, even if they're not doing any sort of sexual act, it's still pretty sexual to them.
Right.
So, I
Good
mean,
point.
yeah, they're getting something out of it.
Right. Yeah, even if it's just their rocks off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no motive was clear. No suspects were immediately evident. She had no enemies. Everyone
Yeah.
seemed to like her. And even worse, that it was at a motel right on a busy highway.
Wow.
It was, quote, adjacent to Interstate 29-80 and the South 24th Street interchange, which apparently made for an extremely quick getaway. Yeah. They did look into the husband, of course.
Yeah.
As everyone
Husbands,
wants to know.
exes.
Yes. Yeah, exes. That's a good point. But the husband himself made a pretty good suspect considering his prior history of violence.
Oh.
So, what's that?
I said, oh.
Oh. Jerry Nemke had been questioned about a trio of murders of women in his area at the tender age of 17 in May of 1960.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
I think it was a few episodes back when we talked about what are the chances that somebody ever in their life has been questioned multiple times about being involved in any one murder. Like, it's not
Did
something...
we?
I'm positive with it. It's like, yeah, if somebody's like, yeah, I've just been questioned randomly about different murders, then yeah, that's a red flag.
It is. It is.
Yeah, people just don't randomly get involved in being a murder suspect, I guess, especially on multiple
Oh
occasions.
no. Oh no. This. Yeah. It wasn't random at all. This was
Oh, wow.
a a twist to the case that his wife would have had to have known about, though. We just didn't.
Really? Con
Yeah.
man. Is he a con man?
I don't think so. So this is what happened. These three women had been killed in the Starved Rock, Illinois area. There's that Illinois.
Okay. Starved Rock is an interesting
Right?
name.
Sounds indigenous, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of like one of our other pod friends, they're Unholy Gossip Girls. They just did a case that was in Medicine Hat,
Oh.
and they used it in their episode title, and I was like, what? Like Medicine Hat here? And it was. It was a true crime case at a Medicine Hat.
Cool.
Pretty brutal one, too. And I was like, oh yeah, we have some. I commented like something about the names here and how, yeah, we have a red deer and all
Yeah.
sorts of, Great Slave Lake. all the fun names. But
Yeah.
most are indigenous, so yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Starved Rock, Illinois. So police picked up Jerry, who was driving a stolen car in the very area.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm like, pause for reaction because this is gonna be, yeah, it just keeps getting crazier. So it was in this very area they found him that the one victim, Marilyn Duncan, 16, had been beaten to death on April 29th, 1960. Or April 29th? Oh, I didn't remember I had the exact date, but I guess I did. And Jerry and Marilyn had gone on a date the night she was killed. And he
Oh.
later admitted he had killed her. Yep. So he was tried and first convicted. Then that was overturned by the Illinois Supreme Court due to improper conducting of the preliminary hearing.
Ugh, that's some bullshit.
Right? This part's a bit of a roller coaster. A second trial found Jerry Nemke guilty, and he was sentenced to 75 years.
Okay.
I could not find how long he served, but as many sources pointed out, he was obviously out at the time of death, Lee's death. She had been married and living with him, so he obviously didn't serve very long at all.
Wow.
I mean, I think they were both still pretty young. They're in their 30s or, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like 10 years.
Maybe? He had been 17, yeah, so it's possible. Yeah, that's so young.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a good candidate. They're like, he's a killer.
Yeah, I'm starting in my head going like in my case, like why did this become a cold case? Like, I'm sorry.
Because they soon verified he had a solid alibi. So he must have still been, remember he was back in Michigan, wrapping up their affairs at their mobile home, their trailer, whatever. So again, there was not a lot of details on this part, which was a little frustrating, but I don't know. I read pretty good, pretty informative articles I found. So I was like, well, I guess they just don't have this
Yeah.
details. They must have ruled him out. He couldn't have made the drive in the time it would have taken. Like, there must have been some witness to put him in Michigan, I would imagine. But it's never really elaborated on. And Police Captain Eldon Jones said it was the most perplexing case I've ever had the opportunity to be involved in.
Yeah, it's a little random. I mean, if
Yeah.
they've ruled out a robbery, that would be like the biggest thing if she's at a motel and some of her stuff was taken. Could be just a random
Yeah.
highway motel robbery.
And I wonder how he would have kind of got in without
Yeah.
her making, screaming or something, drawing attention that people would have noticed. I don't know. It's weird. So they had 6 detectives on it. Other teams were brought in. I forget exactly, but like other police forces were kind of called in. And they had rewards put up by like the hospital. They put in some money and stuff like that. A whole bunch of stuff, efforts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, it seems like they should be able to catch him. But she was then cremated in Omaha. Omaha Steaks. No. It's just so sad. But yeah, so there, and then a memorial was held for her on July 1st, 1982. Then Lee's parents went to Chicago to spend some time with their grandson.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So police were at a bit of a loss now. The DNA testing at this time, early 80s, still, I put sucked/didn't really exist.
Yeah, because they can do... They basically are doing blood typing at this point, right? They can't do individual people. I think they could only test blood types.
Yeah, that would make sense. I didn't get much into it with this one, but yeah, exactly. It's not as good as it is now. It couldn't have been solved then with what they had at all. Yeah. They had no good leads. I mean, police did note that a similar case had happened at the Starlight Motel in Council Bluffs in April 1982. So that would have been a few months earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. 21-year-old Linda Mayfield had been stabbed to death, and it was unsolved. There was, I didn't put a picture of her on the drive. There is one of Lee, but these two didn't look alike at all. I believe Linda was a black woman and Lee is white, so there wasn't a type with this guy.
Just opportunity, maybe.
Maybe. One of Linda's friends witnessed something and described the man they saw as 26 to 28 years old, a Caucasian male, 5'7" to 5'10" in height.
Yeah, it's pretty average.
Yeah.
The description.
I know. That comes up a lot where they're just like, okay, that's great, but it doesn't super help.
Yeah. The tattoo of his name on his forehead.
Yeah. Oh my god. So that's when the case started to grow cold the first time, I guess. Until 2011, nothing notable happened. 2011 was when Detective Stephen Andrews joined the case, and joining him was Katie Patty, crime lab manager, who I kept wanting to write as Katy Perry, because Katie Patty was a hard name to spell. So, possible break in the case. In 2018, police captain Todd Wedham, I believe it's pronounced, Todd Wedham was watching TV, a news segment about the Golden State Killer being caught.
Oh my god. I was going to ask you, are you going to cover the Golden State Killer?
No.
I could have sworn you were going to cover the Golden State Killer. Because you've talked about him like 4 times before, and I was like, she's going to do it. She's going to do it.
No, but it did come up in this, which was a surprise to me. Because I have read the book from Michelle McNamara, and then we watched the like Netflix show, and I have learned a little bit about him now. But I figured that one was a bit high profile and didn't need me to highlight it, I guess.
Yeah. That's Patton Oswalt's wife, right?
Correct. Yeah, his wife that passed away. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Michelle McNamara. Yeah. Really good book. I think Ressa gave it to me. Thank you, Ressa. My sister.
Yeah, he came up a lot on the list, and I was like, I'm not gonna scroll past. Alanna's probably gonna cover. That's funny.
Too funny, and then it comes up in my case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I basically gave this cop this idea to catch his own killer, I guess.
Yeah, like inspired him.
Yeah, because
ancestral DNA websites. I mean,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I said this, but yeah, the Golden State Killer being caught, one of the most famous cold cases solved from recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people have heard of it. I don't know. But we're in the true crime world now. I'm not sure now what normal people know.
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah, I was listening to And That's Why We Drink earlier today, and then maybe a quarter of the way through Christine's case, and I went, oh, I know this case.
Yeah.
I heard this somewhere else. This is where, okay, yeah, But it's still good. You hear someone else tell it, I swear you get a whole new perspective, yeah. Yeah, so this is how they killed. That case happened to use genetic genealogy, which is a word I now know I hate to spell,
Yeah.
to identify Joseph J. D'Angelo Jr. as the Golden State Killer, aka Earons, the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker.
Yeah.
And then this is when our Captain Wedham said, I put Captain again. Like, just...
Well, because he's police captain.
Yeah. And because I'm tired of writing out, long titles. Detective, Captain, Police Investigator. No. Okay, so this is when he said, how do we go about doing this with Lee Rotatori's murder? Because there wasn't much else they could do with it at that time.
Yeah.
So in April 2019, Katie Patty of the lab sent a DNA sample to Reston, Virginia's Parabon Nanolabs.
Ooh.
Yas Forensic
Nanolabs.
Queens. Yeah. And it's in Virginia. What? Shout out to our Virginia listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds almost like a fakey place, like from The Fringe or something. Massive dynamic. Okay, so they often work with law enforcement on DNA forensics and on technologies for the medical industry also. And at first, they could only really tell that it had the profile of a white man of Northern European descent. So, okay. Another kind of sort of unhelpful clue.
Yeah, they basically just did a genealogy test on it and it came back no results, but here's their ethnicity.
This narrows it down to every man almost in America except for the black and browns. Yeah.
Yeah, from Europe. Yeah.
So then what they did was compare it to DNA submitted to these family tree companies, quote unquote, such as Ancestry.ca, bitches.
Canada. What?
Yeah. And, 23andMe and the like.
Yeah.
So clients apparently can and do give permission to law enforcement to review these profiles. Again, this one seemed to kind of lead nowhere really at first, just a vague match. They matched it to a 6th to 8th cousin of the suspect.
Ooh, yeah, that's a stretch. Likely never met.
Yes, it apparently was very difficult to narrow down from this information only. And Parabon Labs then told police that basically since people in their DNA kits are coming in every day, they're playing the waiting game now, but hopefully, it will come soon. And so they were at that standstill while they waited for someone who was close enough of a relative to the murder suspect to give their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So then in March of 2020, the year who shall not be named a nice year, Todd Wedham
and in March.
Right.
That was like
pandemic.
The month of the end times.
Yeah, travel shut down on March 14th on my birthday. Yeah. It was great. All right.
Yeah.
Or in America, they put down the shelter-in-place order and whatever.
Yeah, it was like November in China, and then it was March here.
Oh, yeah, because it
Yeah.
surely had gotten somewhere earlier. Ugh. Watched a few videos that Pat played on that recently because people are like still wondering where exactly it came from, whether it's, leak from the lab that happened to be there or not.
I don't think we'll ever know. Just like,
but conspiracies. And that's, anyway, no, we can't get into that. Okay. What were you going to say, though?
Oh, just like all the other things. What we have monkeypox, we have all that stuff that's already happened since then. It's like
yeah, you're right. They probably don't have all that. They only know where some of them exactly came from. But yeah, it takes a while usually. Okay, so this, the year who shall not be named, yes. But this was a good year for this case, because that's when the policeman, the Todd Wedham, got an email from an Eric Schubert. And Eric was a college kid from Pennsylvania with an interest in genealogy.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine submitting my, like, DNA to a website and then it being like, thanks, you helped solve a cold case. And I'd be like, oh my god.
So cool, though.
Yeah.
Isn't that what most true crime podcasters seem to want? Or what everyone jokes about? Oh, we all just want to solve our own case. I'm like, I don't know. I'm good bringing light to some victims and stuff.
Yeah, like I don't ever want to actually serve on a jury, thank you.
No.
I don't want to ever be a proper internet sleuth because I get too obsessed with things, and if I did that, I'd, like, probably get fired and end up with no money and living in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. No thanks, I can't do it.
I'm good. Yeah, it's rabbit holes. You can't just pick one. Bet you can't pick just one. Yeah, so Eric wanted to know, he happened to want to know if they had any cold cases they were working on. Can you help him out, Eric?
Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah. So Eric, 20, had a resume showing he had helped law enforcement in multiple states work cold cases since he was 18.
Okay, so he's like his own little sleuth guy. He's not some rando.
He is indeed. Because a little fun fact was that one of the cases I jotted down to maybe cover, and I wrote, like, solved by college student Eric Schubert. It was like, oh, this is the same guy. You had him twice on one list of cold cases.
Yeah.
And it didn't even, like, note that in the little paragraphs or whatever about them. Yeah. I just did my basic research and was like, yeah, this is the same dude. Yeah, pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
So they quickly vetted him, obviously found he was, really good at this shit.
Wow.
Drew up a NDA, non-disclosure agreement, put him straight to work. And he, quote, he was very rapidly able to get to the great-grandparent of our subject, Detective Steve Andrews said. From that, the family tree branched in a multitude of branches, hundreds of names of people. I'd locate these people, reach out to family members, request their assistance on the case. More often than not, they were happy to submit a DNA kit for us.
Okay.
They'd submit a kit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like most people are not gonna have anything to hide.
No, and even if you're not a true crime podcaster, you might feel good helping out the police, yeah. I'd do it.
Yeah.
So they'd submit a kit and Eric would go to work. And he said, the kid is just the mad genius of genealogy. Eric himself said, quote, genealogy is such a great tool that often can be very meaningful. It was a privilege to be helpful. I'm so glad there is justice for Lee, end quote. So, because working through the family members, they were able to determine that their suspect's bio dad did not raise him.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, that was a kink in the mix. It was like trickier than they thought to find him because of that, but they were getting closer. And they got a clearer picture what family he was in. And that's when a break came in the case. Finally, when a person that hadn't been contacted to give DNA happened to give theirs to Parabon, who immediately flagged it as relevant to the case.
Wow. That's so many, like, coincidences.
So lucky.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you. Everybody do it. Everybody do 23andMe.
Right?
I think it'd be fun to learn. Yeah, I don't know. I always just say I'm a mix of, you know, not ethnicities really, but like my family's like English, Irish, French, German, Scottish, or whatever, you know. It's just like, let's see
Yeah.
what percentages we are. Yeah, I don't know if it even gets that specific. But anyway, yeah. We should do it. So yes, it was relevant to the case, so they definitely were interested in that. And this DNA narrowed it down to two brothers, and based on their ages and the date of the crime, it could only be one of them.
Wow.
And detectives Wedham and Andrews said that Parabon and Eric Schubert called within an hour of each other about the development. It's so cool. Because, yeah, they had found him. Their killer was Thomas Freeman. So, Freeman was a trucker who had been 35 years old in 1982 at the time of Lee's death.
Oh, another trucker. No!
Another trucker. Wait, who was the first trucker? Or just like another in general? Yeah.
Well, because they have, was it the I-90 guy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's definitely another freeway guy.
Yeah.
So they tracked down Freeman's daughter to test her DNA, and it was a match to that sample found at the crime scene. Yay! Yeah. And police think that he must have been on his route when he passed through town and killed Lee.
Just like, fuck you, motel. I don't know. It's like, pick a random one. That's so crazy.
Poor Best Western. They're good. They're good places. They have breakfasts.
Yeah.
And why don't they know, you ask? Surely they arrested him right away.
No.
But no, because they couldn't in this case, actually. Which is different from yours.
Yeah.
Sorry, this one gets me like so crazy. I'm just like, ah! As it turns out, just 4 months after Lee Rotatori's murder, Thomas Freeman's body was found near Cobden, a small southern Illinois town, shot in the chest 4 times.
Good.
Now who's dead, bitch?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, and so soon after, 4 months.
It's instant, almost instant karma. Love
And he
it.
got shot in the chest 4 times. What is
Yeah.
the meaning of that coincidence? Speaking of coincidences, so he was dumped in a wooded area near his house, and Detective Wedham said, "I'm not a big believer in coincidences, so we reached out to Illinois State Police and got hold of the sergeant in charge of Freeman's cold case investigation."
Sorry, he's a cold case too. I love it.
Now he's the cold case. Yes, exactly. It's so fitting.
Did his brother murder him? That'd be great.
They don't know. They've been working
damn.
together, the forces, ever since. And Wedham said, "We know who killed Lee. Now we're working to figure out if Freeman's death is somehow connected with him murdering Lee."
I hope so.
Right?
Otherwise, who cares? Who cares who killed him?
Excuse me.
Let them get away with it. That guy deserved it.
The only thing, yeah, they don't know, but the only lead, because there's like no direct connection known of between murderer and victim, like Freeman and Lee. And while they didn't seem to know each other, they think it's possible that her husband did know him at some point.
Oh my god, when you said he wasn't involved because he had a solid alibi, I almost blurted out, doesn't mean you can't hire somebody. And then I was like, oh.
Well, but now they think that, well, I guess maybe the thought is if they knew each other and and now he's dead after Lee's dead. Yeah. Like, my thoughts went to, what if he found out that he was Lee's killer and then killed him? Because he's like, you killed my wife.
Bye-bye.
That's for me to do, bitch. No.
I look crazy. At it. I look at it more of a contract killing thing where he was, like, he hired the guy to kill Lee and then he took care of the guy after.
So that he wouldn't talk?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Could be.
But it's like, what wasn't he getting out of? Maybe he didn't want to move. That's all I can think of.
He's like, screw it, I hear Iowa sucks. Yeah. So Lee's husband, Jerry Nemke, himself a convicted murderer, let's not forget, had years earlier gone to college after being released from prison. As you do. That's good, though. I don't know. And he had gone to college in Carbondale, Illinois, which is about 15 miles or 24 kilometers from Cobden, where Thomas Freeman's body was found.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was familiar with the area and probably the people, perhaps even Freeman, I guess. Yeah. And we don't know if Jerry Nemke killed Thomas Freeman because he is also now dead. He died in March 2019.
What did he die of?
I think natural causes.
No, okay. I was going to say 4 gunshot wounds to the chest. And boom! In your segment, we solved 1 cold case and opened 2.
March 2019, I feel like he had to have been old, so probably.
Yeah.
I don't think so, though. But if it is, then somebody really buried the 17th lead in this case by leaving it out.
He was killed by the Golden State Killer. No.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
One of the murderers that murders other murderers.
Dexter.
Oh. Yeah, there's definitely no doubt with this one that the case couldn't have been solved without modern technology, especially because, like, Freeman was not staying in the Best Western Motel, so he wasn't anywhere on their radar.
Yeah, it was a completely random thing, possibly.
I know. I still don't know why. Like, did he see her somewhere? Or the McDonald's? Like, what? I don't know.
Maybe he just stayed at the motel and just saw her there.
And, like, used a different name because they didn't have his name on the thing, but he could have just... I don't think the security was as tight in the 80s.
No. Lots of hitchhiking.
Yeah, I think you could probably just pay cash for your hotel room, too.
Yeah.
So to end it out, a couple things. We got a quote from Detective Andrews. It's extremely satisfying. There were high points and low points throughout the process. But when you get the confirmation that everything you worked for has come to fruition, it's exciting, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And Lee's 2 surviving siblings were available to comment on the case being solved. This was Ann Chin and Greg, Gonzalez. It says I spelled it wrong, but it was her maiden name. Those were her brother and her sister, who were still alive. And they said it was nice to know they solved the case, but they only wish their parents could have been alive to know it. Basically, they only wished it could have been years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it, that was a wild ride.
Yeah. I'm looking at the picture of Freeman, and he looks like just so weirdly meek and like IT... looking nerd guy with his stupid hair and glasses and his big mustache.
Yeah, I was thinking he had kind of one of those. You think of serial killers, you often picture the 70s or the 80s, like Coke
Yeah.
bottle glasses and
Yeah.
shit like that. So yeah, he reminded me of that kind of look.
Yeah, he looks very similar to BTK if BTK did not look old.
I felt like he
Dennis
reminded me
Ritter.
of somebody, but I couldn't put my
Yeah.
finger on it.
I was like
Yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
picture and I was like, why does he look familiar? I think it's BTK. He looks like a really young BTK, probably.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, were they related too?
Dun dun dun. Was he also
Oh.
obsessed with women's lingerie? Um, we'll
Ooh.
never know.
Oh
Uh,
god. I don't know. This one had enough twists in it. I don't need another one.
yeah, that's crazy.
I know, my notes ended up being a pretty hefty 8 page. Well, about 7 pages. It
Yeah.
says 8, but that was mostly sources. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that was wild. I
Right?
can't believe. I need to know like how everybody was involved now.
Well, yeah, it doesn't answer everything because
Yeah.
everybody's dead. It's
It
like,
just
well,
like one door closed and two more cold cases opened, and then it was like, or one more cold case opened.
I would love to do cold cases again. I had a hard time deciding on a case.
Yeah. Well, there's so
Probably
many.
why there's whole episode or like yeah shows on it.
Yeah, there's so many cases like yours that are being solved by genealogy and everything now.
Right.
It's amazing, really, how many of them every year are coming up, which I think is just wonderful for them to be clearing this many.
Oh yeah, and they're like they just from out of nowhere get the criminals like boom
Yeah.
bam. Like you thought you were safe and you are 80, but guess what? Now
Yeah.
we know.
You would get you and your walker with tennis balls at the end ass into prison.
Yes, like that old Nazi guy they just got for war crimes who was like 101.
Yeah.
Well, next time we've got a fun one coming up that's sticks close to our roots.
Yeah. We're gonna do some cryptids.
What? On castles and cryptids?
What?
We should. They're always fun and weird and wacky.
Yeah. We're gonna do some forest and woodland creatures. See what we come up with.
Right? I guess
Yes.
I'll do Sasquatch. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah. Strike them off the list. There's a few we've already talked about, but yeah.
Yes. Only scratch the surface, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So send us your stories. Thank you for listening and rating and reviewing because we love that. The support means
Yes.
everything to us.
Yes.
I like to watch our little country list grow. I think we just got it downloaded. Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Help pump those numbers up.
Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for listening.
All right. Till next time. Keep it cryptic.
Bye.
Rockstar. Cryptic.
Air guitar.
Bass solo.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Cobia Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.